I'm so excited for our guest today for our special CMA Fest episodes. This is a Texas native who has written amazing songs in his career so far. You would have heard songs like Barefoot Blue Jean Night, songs like Even If It Breaks Your Heart, songs like Friday Night, which his voice is on, and many others. He's written songs for people like Rascal Flatts and Lady A and Amy Grant, amongst many others. He has had lots of nominations and awards. He's been nominated in the Grammys, and he also has ACM awards, and for both solo stuff, songwriting stuff, and collaborations. He has had his hand in a lot of areas. He's also just an innately creative and faithful person, a dear friend of mine, and I'm so grateful to have him on today. I'd like to welcome Eric Paslay to our Two and a Pew episode today.
What up?
Thank you for doing this. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm glad to be. We're hanging out in the party.
I know.
It's great.
I know. We're in the thick of things today. Normally we're in a pew. But today, because of CMA Fest, we're like literally in the thick of things.
Yeah.
And you've played CMA Fest before.
Many years. I played CMA Fest many years. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like good memories down here, and like just the years of 250 shows a year or something crazy.
Yeah,
but
that's wild.
I missed the HGTV Lodge. That was a cool spot too.
That was really cool. I know. I was just talking about that the other day, and you're a very like handy person. I've known you a long time, and you've always got your hands on some sort of project. Obviously, writing and your career as an artist and a writer, but you also express yourself creatively with woodworking and just farm work and all kinds of like hands-on projects. You've always been like that, right? I
like it. It's the tangible side of me. It's like my job is to move air for a living.
Yeah.
So when I plant a fruit tree and pick the fruit, which we did just have. We just had plums and peaches this year. Finally, we got grapes and apples and pears, all kinds of good stuff coming in. But it's cool to see the fruits of your labor actually show up. When you grow songs, it's a million miracles, you know.
Right.
When you plant a tree, if you water it and tend to it right, the fruit will grow.
Yeah.
Music's not always that way. I'm definitely thankful that God's let some stars line up and everything happen with the career.
Right. Yeah.
But I do love doing all that stuff. It's fun.
It is it's a creative outlet for you. I remember one time way back, we've known each other a long time, and you had an apartment for a while, or a condo rather, that you designed these really cool light fixtures for. And I'll never forget that, because I remember thinking, it was so creative and so beautiful. Like they were kind of like hanging in different angles. It was a whole like almost lighting piece. It was more of a piece of artwork in my mind.
I was making the ball jar lights before everybody was making ball jar lights. You actually had to go to an antique store and find them before everybody.
Totally. But you were just like, I think I can do this. I'm just going to make this thing.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So you've always kind of had that in you of just curiosity and like, maybe I can make something happen. What did that look like as like a little kid, like little Eric?
I mean, growing up in Texas, I would climb a bunch of magnolia trees, come up with little projects to do in my dad's little workshop. He did some woodworking and worked on cars. We were always the new used car people. Yeah. So knew how to work on cars pretty well. But just kind of teaching me things of just, how to take care of the stuff that you get a chance to take care of.
Yeah.
And so old farmer said that we'd bought our farm, and he said, you never really own a piece of land. God just lets you take care of it for a while. And I was like, that's a great way of looking at it. Use it well. Don't be a good steward over it. But, just growing, I guess I grew out of some pretty good dirt in Texas, and my parents are pretty cool about letting me chase this dream of music. A lot of parents might be like, well, how much does that pay?
Yeah.
As opposed to, well, how happy are you going to be?
Right.
But, growing up in Texas, did musicals and all that, played some baseball, and learned playing guitar. And, when I was a kid and around 15, the youth group at the church needed more kids in the band, so I just faked bar chords in the back. Yeah. Eventually learned how to play a B minor. And kind of that's how, probably in my writing, some big praise open chords show up because of that.
Yeah. Which that always hits the heart, actually. So there's something kind of magical in that as well. There's a way that that type of more open playing does really strike a chord, actually, and emotionally.
Yeah. We're usually using all 6 strings because it's an open E.
Yeah.
you know?
Totally.
Most of the time, or at least the ones I like playing. That's what I like writing in.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You mentioned your parents were very supportive of you and your dreams and kind of going after it. And there's a bravery in that, I think, and a trust and a love there in that. And your parents are actually missionaries, which that takes bravery and trust and love.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it kind of has bled over from their life that they are living into the way they encouraged y'all to be living.
Yeah.
And still to this day, really.
We're sitting by the Bell South building, the Batman building. My dad actually worked for Southwestern Bell, which is AT&T now, for 30 years. So he was a telephone man growing up.
Wow.
But when I went to college, when I was 18, is when they became missionaries to Thailand.
Yeah.
And which is cool for me because they went over to Thailand, somehow learned Thai. It was basically 6 months turned into 6 years that they were over there. So it was, when we were in college together, it was like I'd go over to Thailand, you know, and
so cool.
during the summers, and just really grateful that happened to me at a younger age, where you see people that don't look like you, talk like you, think like you, probably don't even pray like you, vote like you, all these things that to just pop that bubble of there's a lot of different perspectives in the world, and learn that, and then realize everybody's just looking for love, ultimately. They want to be fulfilled by something. And I think proof that we all pray different, maybe a different God, is proof that we all believe, majority of people believe that there is someone up there in heaven, you know?
Pray too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was just a really cool perspective to see out of, smaller town in Texas perspective for a while.
Yeah.
To get to see that. Not that I was completely sheltered and
sure, but
didn't know other people existed.
Yeah, well, but that is a more extreme example, though, and we all get exposed to different types of people in different ways, but that's an opportunity of real exposure, really outside of a bubble that, I feel like in many ways, in different towns in America, they're different, from each other a little bit, but we all have our Applebee's and we all have our,
Right.
It's not that different, really. I remember, your mom probably wouldn't remember this. This is a long, long time ago, but she said, I remember asking her some questions that I was really fascinated by. They were in town visiting. I was really fascinated by the fact that they were missionaries. I thought that was so cool. And I remember asking her, well, how do you even do that? You don't speak the language yet. And she just was like, well, it's just about people. So you just meet people and have dinner with them, and then they know other people. And so then you start making different friends. And it was so she was just so casual about it. And I was like, that's just so cool, because everything's about people. Everything's about connection and connecting and faith, but also in creativity is all about that.
I mean, I think a lot of people, unfortunately, people always think you need numbers on a checklist.
Yeah.
Some people think there should be a checklist always. And if you're going out to talk to people about what you believe in, if you're concerned about the checklist, you're definitely missing something.
Right.
If you're not hanging out with someone like Jesus actually did, you're missing something.
Yeah.
If you don't love them where they're at, you're missing something. If you just show up and say you're wrong, you're way missing something.
Yes.
Because I've never, you're never going to convince somebody they're loved by saying you're wrong first.
Right.
That's especially now. People are going to push back pretty hard, and you're foolish if you don't understand why they wouldn't. And so it's kind of cool just how my parents approach it. It's just like we live with people and let them know that we believe, Jesus is awesome and loves us more than anything in the world, in the universe.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of just being real with people and living with them. Yeah. And then they go, wait, you got some joy in you that I don't have. What is that?
Yeah.
As opposed to, let me tell you what you need.
Right, yeah.
Which sometimes the Spirit wants to, sometimes God works in that way too.
Yeah.
But most time these days, people are pretty stubborn, and it takes a minute to, or it takes a miracle. It doesn't take a minute. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it's a whole other thing, I know.
Yeah.
But it's true. I have seen that in your approach to your career as well. You're very, you're an artist writer, and I don't know. I'll let you say if you care about success or not. we all care about success on some level of hitting goals and things like that. But you seem to have carried your heart for just music and lyrics and melodies and people, and your focus, your priorities have seemed to stay very consistent throughout your career, which is a very similar approach to what we're talking about with faith, of like, if you're just living that, if you believe in love and you're living love, then that's what you bring to people. If you love music, then that's what you bring to people. Has that been something that's been easy to keep that balance going, or has it been challenging to keep your priority that way?
Yeah, I mean, the music business is crazy.
Yeah.
You know? It doesn't matter. I mean, ultimately, I would like to think that the best song gets heard and the best singer gets heard.
Yeah.
But the longer you're in this town, it's not exactly, in my opinion, it's not necessarily always the actual truth always.
Right.
Eventually, hopefully the greatest song will be heard, and hopefully the great singer that's playing at one of these bars every night, singing George Strait covers, writing killer songs in their basement apartment, hopefully they'll get heard, and I believe they will.
Yeah.
But there are times being discouraged where you're just like, dang, we just wrote the best song ever, or everyone loves this song, but the label wouldn't spend money on promoting it.
Right.
We approached it wrong, or we sold it wrong. All of that, it's with music business, marketing goes into it. So I will say I'm not the best at marketing. Usually I'm not. I'm competitive in the fact that I really want to do good myself.
Yeah.
But I'm not competitive in I'm going to show you up. I mean, I might sing better than you and play a better song than you, but I'm not going to be like, whoa, check this out.
Yeah. Look at me.
I'm not
going
to start singing over the clapping of your applause after singing an amazing song. So, but my approach, yes, deep down, my approach always is, write what's in your heart, write that title the best way you can. Mm-hmm. Not every song's about heaven, but every song hopefully leads you to happiness. Mm-hmm. Whether being, if it's a sad song, you're not alone. Mm-hmm. That's a better place than just loneliness. You're not alone, I'm there with you, whoever this singer is on the radio. Mm-hmm. And then let's just have fun, have Friday night,
Yeah.
Having fun doesn't mean you're not a part of God's family,
Right.
Now, I mean, there's having fun and remembering it as opposed to getting, completely screwed up over here.
Yeah.
That's just balance of life and the heart. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I just start wandering off into memory lane of, you know what? Down here on Broadway, I'm looking at the place I used to park cars from, thinking of all the ideas I wrote on the back of valet slips and all the years of doing CMA Fest here and label stuff, and grateful for all that. But I'm competitive in I could be playing the stadium tonight, but you know what? I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to be flying to a show in Texas and playing those more intimate shows that I actually love doing. Telling stories behind the songs and playing songs and kind of having that sheet of glass between me and the fans, almost non-existent most of the time. And I'll build the glass a little bit thicker on certain songs. Yeah. But I'd rather talk to people like people as opposed to, how you doing tonight? Let me hear you scream. Yeah. Which it's like, I want you to have fun, but I'd rather talk to you like a human as opposed to a party.
Totally.
A party with no face.
Yeah. It's so interesting for you to hear you say that too, because you have had the unique opportunity to have played great big venues and intimate venues. Yeah. You've written songs that other artists have cut. You've written songs that other artists have cut, and you've collaborated with them as a guest artist. You've written songs that you have cut as an artist. You've kind of seen it. You've valeted on Broadway. Yeah, man. You kind of like, I know you interned on the business side for a little while. Yeah. You have had the unique opportunity to see things from a lot of different sides. Not just see things from other sides, but actually live things from different sides. Yeah. Is there a space in there that you feel the most in the zone, or is it pretty equal for you? Yeah,
I just like music. I like the song. I thought everyone on the radio wrote their songs. Yeah. I didn't know that there was a separation. I was like, well, John Lennon and Paul McCartney. I mean, the Beatles wrote their songs, and the Stones wrote their songs, and I thought George Strait wrote all of his songs, you know, I've always seen songwriting and singing as the same. I know a lot of time Music Row will separate that as you're the songwriter, you're the singer.
Right.
But I've never viewed it that way. So it's like, well, I wrote 300 songs this year. I have an album with 10 songs on it.
Yeah.
And I wrote 300 songs for the last 5 years. Like when I was making that first album, you know, it's like, well, here's your 11 songs or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, writing other big hits that became hits, it is, there's times where it's like, dang, I should have cut Barefoot Blue Jean Night. And it's like, but if I did, the outcome isn't necessarily the same.
Right.
You know, that would have been my first single if I cut it.
Right.
And in Nashville, the bad joke is your first song's your sacrificial single.
Right, yeah.
It's like, hello,
just get it
here's
out
a
there,
flavor.
dangle
Would you
it.
like a taste of me?
Yeah.
Now throw the spoon away. But
Yeah.
it's which is, you know, just seeing it in perspective of just so grateful to Jake Owen for recording that song at the right time in his career. I think he had 2 or 3 number 2s. He had yet to have a number 1, recorded Barefoot Blue Jean Night, and that went. But so yeah, on the artist side and the songwriter side, sometimes I might get a little frustrated more than I should with that when people ask me, man, why are you giving away your hits?
Yeah.
And deep down, it's like, I know it doesn't work that way.
Sure.
But most people don't see it in that way. It's like there's so much that goes into a song becoming quote unquote famous.
Right.
You know, and anyone that's ever recorded a song of mine, thank you, dear God.
Yeah.
The amount of work. Everyone's at our CMA Fest, and I mean, tomorrow they're already on a flight to go to San Jose or somewhere else to go promote that song.
Totally.
150 shows a year to go promote that song. You know, and then 100 shows to pay for promoting, you know, to pay your band and actually make the money from it. But I'm just memory laning it on Broadway over here. My goodness.
I love it.
But I mean, I my sweet spot, you asked.
Yeah, like really in the zone,
is writing a song, is creating. Writing and recording that record to make sure the heartbeat's going the right speed, the tone is the right timbre to make you believe me.
Right.
Make sure that the guitar lick is singable and not just there because you think it's supposed to be. And make sure there's enough space that you can listen to what you're thinking in your own head and heart.
Yeah.
You know, which also can be more difficult to always just be commercial, because commercial sells Coca-Cola ads.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily make you pull off the road, turn off the radio, and call someone you love and say, I'm sorry or I love you, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't sell Coca-Cola ads.
Right.
So those songs aren't always on the radio for a reason. They don't sell Coca-Cola ads. For all the songwriters out there listening, if you're frustrated that your best ballad in the world ain't getting cut, understand, just write more up-tempo positives, and eventually the 4th or 5th song, you'll get to the ballad.
The right people will listen to it after they've heard Get the Gateway.
There's so many layers. I'm going so many layers of my opinion of how things might work sometimes in the business.
I love it. But you do have a broad perspective, which I think is unique and really special. And speaking of like memory lane on Broadway right now, because we have this backdrop going on, it's bustling, the energy's really cool out there. And excited about everyone that flocks here for CMA Fest. They're coming here for all of country music, but a lot of them probably have a certain song or a certain artist that they're here. Certain songs do resonate well. Certain artists resonate well. I know Even If It Breaks Your Heart is one of those songs that you wrote. You've also recorded it in a different context. But that song seems to really resonate in the heart, and it's about a songwriter, or, creative, but it has resonated with people that don't do music for a living. Why do you think that is, and what part of the heart do you think that is that connects in that way with things like that song?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a dream.
Yeah.
The verses in that song are about downtown's where I used to wander, old enough to get there, but too young to get inside. So I'm not really necessarily the musician.
Sure.
I'm just talking about things. That was me on 6th Street in Austin, Texas, for sure. I moved up here when I was 20, so I still couldn't get in the bars in Austin, Texas on 6th Street. even with the band to get the gigs, you know. But that's where that kind of second verse. But it resonates because we all have a dream. It doesn't have to be music. It could be something very simple or something crazy. And I always say they call it fishing. They don't call it catching.
Yeah.
You know, they call it dreaming for a reason. They're hard to catch.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the chase is what's more exciting. Because if you see people that catch their dream, well, now what do? I got to catch another dream. It better be bigger this time.
Right.
Like, what pressure to put on you, you know? It's kind of that perspective of watching friends in town. It's like hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. And it's like, we got to get another. We got to get another. We got another. Oh, no, I'll never get another one.
Yeah.
You know, and that fear of, oh, no. It's like, no, look at what you've done. This is awesome. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the dreaming. But I think that song resonates with everybody because we all have a dream. And it's fun to dream.
It's fun
There's
to
something
dream.
cool to think of something bigger than yourself. Ultimately, it might be for yourself, but ultimately, if everybody's cheering you on, you did something right for them to be inspired too. And I'm grateful that song fell out of the sky. I wrote that with Will Hogue, and that was the first song I ever wrote that I heard on the radio.
Oh, cool.
And it was Will singing it, and I was riding around 440 probably.
Oh, man,
waiting to hear new music on Lightning 100.
Yeah,
Will
Lightning
Hogue.
100. Yeah.
Dun, 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 you know?
Yeah, I loved his version of it too. And then later the Eli Young Band
they made
killed
it
it. They did a great job on that.
And we got to go to the Grammys. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. I know, so cool. Which now I feel like country is is really popular again across genres. But it's country music has ebbed and flowed, and it's mass popularity, I would say. Like, it goes through phases where it's like, oh, everyone's paying attention to country, and then other times where not so much. So when you're at the Grammys, where they're honoring all the genres of music, to go there representing country is a really cool thing to get to do.
It was cool. At the time, it wasn't the most coolest genre. So I remember going and be like, oh, the country boys are here.
Yeah, the country boys.
We got interviews, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, tell us about Nashville.
Yeah.
It was like, so you do country and Western? I'm like, yeah, both kinds.
Yeah.
Who are you again? Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the honest truth is, it really is amazing to see all those genres collab together. Because it's a bit, I mean, depending on your zip codes, what you listen to.
Right.
Or what your parents didn't want you listening to,
right.
You know?
Yeah.
Kind of like you either grew up on a dirt road, so you listen to country. You grew up in Queens, so you listen to pop, rap, hip hop. And it's kind of realizing that you're kind of born into what you might listen to.
Yeah.
Or at least when, I think that's changing a lot more now with streaming, where you have playlists where it's not necessarily one genre, which I love.
Yeah.
We all have a heartbeat, we all have a soul.
Yeah.
We all got music running through us. Just how do you want to say it?
Right. You have a beautiful family, and you have property. We talked about a little bit about the farm and just kind of getting work done there. And you're a songwriter and artist. Like you've got a pretty busy or full life. I would say full life. How do you foster your creativity, and do you find it important to foster it outside of your business, or does the business foster the creativity itself? How do you do that and keep it going?
I just keep my heart open. Lines will find you. I know it's a gift to be able to sit down and put words with a melody and people want to sing it. And I think it's what you ingest, or the creative side of what music you put into you, that's eventually going to come out. And I was always a fan of doo-wop, oldies and all that. But I don't know. I think it's just, don't be scared. Don't overthink it. Be aware of, is this as good as everyone else's? When you're writing, you're like, this is the best song. It's like, well, if it came on after Name Your Famous Artist, would people be impressed, or they go like, oh, they're figuring it out?
Right.
So it's kind of, chipping away at the craft of, how do I say the same thing again differently? I mean, I love you, I miss you, it's all about love.
It is all about love.
I miss love, I want love, I screwed up love, I got too drunk with love, or there's a bigger love than me up there that cares beyond belief about everyone in the world. But there's all kind of layers to do that. And if you don't say those words right, people aren't going to listen.
Totally.
All that being said, I still know it's a gift to be able to sit down in a room and a song be written, within 30 minutes to 4 hours later.
Right.
And then you get to talk to each other about how cool you think you are.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's so funny. I remember I got to open for Leroy Parnell one time, and I was playing songs, and I remember saying something like, all my songs are love songs. And then he got up to play, and he said, I just want to take a moment. And he thanked me, which was really sweet. But then he said, Moriah just said, all my songs are love songs. I want everyone here to know all songs are love songs. Every song's about love.
Yeah.
And it should be. And that's what it should be. And it was such and he's an incredible player, and Texan too, I think, right?
Yeah,
Another Texas. There's some Texas people. But I remember that just has always stuck with me, of just like all songs really are love songs. That's what everything is bred out of. It starts as a spark of love. Dreams start as a spark of love. Everything does, which is so cool. And to get to channel that and put it out into the world is amazing. The business side can challenge purity in some ways.
Yeah.
When you carve out time to write, whether you're scheduling it or you just sit down by yourself, either way, do you always go in with an intention, or do you have any kind of like things that you do, little tricks that you do right when you walk in there or get into that space? Do you have like a certain candle has to be lit?
No, that's a good idea though. Maybe I should. I mean, obviously good vibes, but I don't know. I mean, typically when I'm driving into town, I might turn on a genre of music that I don't listen to usually, and just see if I start mumbling a melody. If I don't know the song, I might mumble a melody out that I've never written, and it wasn't even written to the song being played, but it's just a little spark to go like, I don't know, maybe something will fall out here
that I
can use in the right. Mumble some words. Maybe I'll get lucky and fall across the line that makes sense. Just let the heart talk as opposed to overthinking it. But I mean, my phone's full of ideas of just that'll never get written, and that's all right. There might even be some great ideas in there. I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's the ritual is. I will say this: if I have to do anything like too much of just like boxed in thinking, like paperwork, business stuff in them before I'm writing, I'm kind of like drained. I'd rather wake up and go write. I'd almost want to wake up and write.
Sure.
It's where your subconscious is actually speaking, and not the crazy world of stuff. You know?
Less cluttered, for sure.
Yeah.
I feel that.
But maybe I should get a candle.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. A specific scent that can jog like a certain, create a moment for you over and over again.
All right.
Yeah. I feel like I hear that a lot with like athletes and stuff, that they'll have like a certain ritual before they go out in the field or whatever, of like candles or certain songs or things like that they like. It's like get in the zone.
I probably have a built-in ritual. I don't know. Pull up, get a coffee.
Yeah.
Talk for an hour, and then we finally write.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's kind of the universal ritual around here. I will say
the music row thing.
Exactly. That's crazy. Do you have a certain way that you make sure to touch base with God in your life now? Like, is there a certain way that you feel most connected with God, or that you make sure to either fold into your schedule, or do you have a certain prayer time, or is it something that's just kind of like something that you carry with you as an open communication and connection with Him?
Yeah, I mean, I just talk to Him. I don't know, walking down the sidewalk, staying on the farm. Yeah. Being frustrated. Yeah. Thinking of past things that I can't change, and be like, all right, let me get rid of that. Yeah. I mean, obviously that sounds like therapy, but it's just talking to Him like He's my friend, because He is. But yeah, I don't really have rituals of that. I probably have. The honest truth is, I probably should be still occasionally. Yeah. I'm just kind of always doing something and moving around, building, but I'm always thinking and always, not always praying as I'd like to, but definitely, I think being out on the farm and building things, doing work, and knowing we're putting some good roots in the ground, like in a way of just growing good fruit and many deeper layers than just fruit. You know, trying to have a place for people to have good memories and Piperton to grow up at but yeah, I think just being out where there's a big sky, I definitely feel God more there, even more. But even in the big cities, I was in New York the other night. You just, you know, I was there alone, went to a Yankees game, and I'm just thinking, cool. Lord, this is awesome.
Yeah.
What if I was a baseball player? Thanks for not making me one, though.
Yeah.
You know, I do play about the same gigs as a baseball player, I guess.
Yeah,
but I think, you know, just talking to him while I'm walking. You know?
That's really cool. We spoke about dreams and how fun they are. I love dreams. I love dreaming. I love participating in dreams. I love other people's dreams. It's just like it gives you that instant like openness that you were talking about, that channels creativity, that channels joy, really.
Yeah.
If you were to look back and look forward, what dream have you seen kind of work in your life and come to fruition that you're either really proud of or that you have been impacted by? And then looking forward, what dreams do you have for the coming years in the future for yourself?
I mean, honestly, I wrote an album called Nice Guy, and it's kind of tongue-in-cheek way of saying it. But I mean, I'm glad that I think most people around town, if they're like Eric Paslay, be like, he's a nice guy, great songwriter, you know? Yeah. And ultimately, my favorite artists are songwriters: Tom Petty, Bruce Springsteen, you know,
totally,
Chris Martin, Rich Mullins, Rodney Crowell, you know, all these, Imogen Heap. They're all writers, you know, just different genres. Just throwing out different genres for people listening and being like, wait, he doesn't just listen to country, I listen to everything.
That's an amazing lineup to, if you were to go right now and make a playlist of
Phil
people.
Collins, go Peter
amazing.
Gabriel. But I mean, I'm grateful that my years in town, I think most people see me as a pleasant human being that hopefully they know that I'm trying to use my gifts for good. You know, like I don't want you to go get plastered tonight. I want you to maybe go get a whiskey and then think about things bigger than yourselves. You know, if you need the whiskey to get there, go drink the whiskey.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to go get drunk just to disappear. You know, I'd rather you drink a beer on the tailgate in the country world and look up at heaven and think about that. You know, but yeah, looking back, obviously, I wish I had bigger hits, more hits as an artist, as everyone. And this is the thing, as everyone, you get 50 number ones, you want 51. You know?
Right.
And so, you know, today in this moment, that's how I look back at the past. I hopefully people see me like that. And the future, just, I'm an open creator. I love creating. I have so many ideas for projects that I want to do that is just music. It's not necessarily a genre, because I don't think we should do that. I think humans we all have a heart and soul. We all want to be valuable. We all want to live a full life and have a soundtrack that makes it even more fun to drive to, dance to, party to, and sit alone and stare at heaven to, you know? And so yeah, looking forward, it's like obviously raising the family and having fun, spending more time with friends. Like you, we got to hang out more. Thanks for inviting me to this.
I'm so glad you could do this.
Yeah, looking forward and excited to see what songs fall out of the sky and how it impacts people. And my goal is always for them to know they're loved and to look up and there's something bigger than them that loves them beyond belief.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. Loves them beyond belief. And belief and dreams, all of that kind of, it lives together in this holy, unknowing space that's still somehow comfortable for us. So we're all very comfortable practicing the dream, practicing the curiosity, the wondering. It just lives together in this beautiful way, because I do feel like God designs us to explore with the intent that we look for him. Because he's there. I mean, he doesn't have to really be found. He's hanging out. He's ready for us. But he just designs us with this very cool adventuring spirit. And we're of God. So that God has an adventurous spirit. Look at all the things he's done in life. And we can look back at our own lives with how creatively we're knit together. Our stories are just so intricate and beautiful and tragic and all those things, but it's woven together in a really creative, cool way.
I always think it's amazing that the Creator lets us create.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to let these broken people make stuff up. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah,
I mean, music's a drug. What do you, it can be good or bad. And I'm always aware of that in a writer's room. It's like, what is the impact you're going to have after this song gets heard? And that's a whole other tightrope to walk.
That might be another Two and a Pew episode. We can talk about that exact thing. I think that has a lot of legs to it, honestly. But you are very naturally creative. You're naturally channeled type of a person. You just are. Even in conversation, you're not afraid to just be open, and that takes a channeling. And you mentioned the HGTV tent before, because you've done some a lot of stuff, just the hands-on things that are. I love to bake, so that's kind of my hands-on thing. That's creative. That's not music stuff, but I love just putting things together. You seem to do that
music
really well
to your
with
tongue.
Exactly. Yeah, you seem to do that really well with projects, and you've had such a great pairing with that in your life. It seems like as well, but you just exude like a creativity about you that is infectious and inspiring, and I'm so glad that you do that and that you walk around the world and just share that with people. It's really cool. I really appreciate you doing this and sharing that with Two and a Pew and with me. I'm just excited for what you got going on in the future. The dreams for the coming up.
I know.
Coming up. We've got the EP, it is an EP, right? Perfect Stranger.
Perfect Stranger, we just put that one out. There are all kinds of good songs on there.
Yeah.
Sang one with Natalie and I sang a song. That's my wife, everybody. Natalie's my wife. But we worked together for 4 or 5 years at Cal 4, my first internship and all that.
And she's a great singer.
She's a great
really
singer.
Beautiful
She's singing
voice.
on it with me.
Yeah.
So we that's on there. And then, honestly, a lot of those songs are quote-unquote demos.
Yeah, cool.
And they're not demos. They're freaking amazing records.
Yeah.
And that means we wrote it and recorded it in the same day.
Yeah,
so
right.
Everybody's like, what's a demo? It's like, this pretty much was written in the same day. So,
That's cool. What a cool thing to share. Definitely, we would encourage you all to go find that and check out all the music that Eric has out. EricPaslay.com. It's not .org, right? It's .com.
Yep, that's it.
EricPaslay.com is a great place to start to find him on socials and everywhere that you find music. And it's worth it. It's worth a listen. Everything that you heard here, you will hear in his music, because you are who you are wherever you're at. And I love that about you, Eric. It's amazing. So thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you. Anything that you would like to finish up with or leave anyone to be thinking about?
What seeds are you putting in the ground? Are you growing bitter fruit or sweet fruit? Kids are going to pick up that fruit, take a bite. Do they have a bitter look on their face or a sweet look? And that's what I always tell me. Like, what seeds am I putting in the ground for my little girl? Is she going to walk around bitter because of my bitterness walking around and what I say? Am I being nice to people? Simple thing. Like Luke, like do unto others as you'd have done unto you. I think everybody's forgetting that Jesus taught us that.
Right.
And but that's where I'd leave it is put good seeds in the ground. That tree's going to be there a lot longer than you, and the butterfly effect of that fruit's going to be tasted for a long time, passed down generation to generation. So be careful what you say if it's not coming from the loving side of your heart.
Yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful, Eric.
Go write some great songs. Yeah, be creative. Live a creative life. I love it. And watch the seeds you're sowing. Pay attention to it. Be intentional. I love that. Moriah, you rock.
You rock,
You're
Eric.
the sweetest heart in the world.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thanks
You're
for
so
having me.
kind. I love you, friend, and I'm so grateful for you.
You were the very first person to ever hear Deep As It Is Wide.
I know.
That was a moment where I knew God was like, all right, you're the one. Here you go. Wrote that song by myself, and I was like, I have to play this song for somebody, and you were the first to hear it.
I'm so honored about that, because to this day, not even just because of that, but that song is one of my favorites that you've ever written, and it's one of my favorite songs just in general, because it comes from a very channeled place. But I'll never forget you coming over, and you're like, I just wrote this song. I don't know if it's quite finished yet, but what do you think? I got to play this. And I was like, amazing. Like that is beautiful.
I was like, when I turned around and saw you crying, I knew it was done.
I literally did. I really literally cried because it really just touched my heart so much. And it has touched many hearts now since then. It's such a beautiful song. It's an open channeled song. I really believe that, and it from the get go, and it's impacted a lot of people, which is amazing. So I feel so honored that I got to hear it first.
I'm glad you're the one. Don't be honored. I'm honored. That's good.
Thank you. And I'm so grateful that other people have heard it now. It's been recorded multiple times, and Amy Grant recorded it one time.
Amy and Cheryl Crow and I recorded it together.
Which is so cool. Yeah. Which you actually texted me that day from the studio. I'm a big Amy Grant fan. I grew up on her, and I remember you texted me like, I'm in here right now with her. We're doing it. I was like, yeah, that's so cool. But yeah, that song has had legs because it's a really beautiful message, and that's one of my favorites for sure. Yeah.
Well, if you've listened to this far through, thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for hanging in there with us.
Heck yeah.
Go check out all things Eric Paslay, ericpaslay.com. And don't forget to follow us, Two in a Pew, on Instagram, TikTok, all the places. Come find us, Two in a Pew, and make sure to join us for the next episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube. We're so grateful that you joined us for Two in a Pew today, the CMA Fest special episodes. We'll see you next time.